It is Tuesday, May 14th, and the splash zone for tomorrow's games for Wednesday, May 15th is back in your life. I'm Matt Modi, and I have three NBA player props for you guys to lock in for tomorrow's NBA betting slate. We got Cavs versus Celtics. We got Mavs versus Thunder. I'm going to have three picks total for you guys to lock in. Of course, before we can get into those picks, we got to do a recap from last time you saw me. So this is going to be a recap from Monday's games because I'm recording this before the Tuesday games have finished. So I'm just giving you a recap from Monday, which was not our day, right? We went 1-2 on our three plays for Monday. We were able to cash out Jaylen Brown over 5.5 first quarter points as he continues to be the first quarter king, but we lost Al Horford over 1.5 made threes, and we lost Kyrie Irving over 22.5 points. Really just neither of those were really even that close, just kind of bad looks there, but at least Jaylen Brown salvaged the day a little bit. 1-2 down 1.1 units on the entire season. Obviously, things are still going very, very well for us. Up about 112 units of profit on the entire season and up about 4.5 units on the playoffs specifically. We haven't quite been able to replicate the regular season success in the playoffs, but up 4.5 units isn't terrible by any means. So I'm not totally disappointed by those results. It has been a little bit of a wacky playoffs, but hopefully we can go on a little bit of a better heater on the playoffs, starting with Tuesday's picks and then with the picks in this video. Before I do get into the picks, just a couple things. Number one, if you're not already, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then, of course, for this specific video, like, comment, let me know your thoughts on the three plays that I have. Let me know your thoughts on plays that you like that I don't have. All that stuff I love reading through the comments. And then the last thing I'll say is that I do have a Dub Club where I send all of my plays out. It's only $5 a month, get sent directly to your phone via text, email, or Telegram. I will say the Dub Club gives you the same exact picks you see me give out for free on YouTube and on Twitter. I just send them out early. So by the time I record a video and edit a video and post a video, the odds change. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything that I can do about that. So my way to combat that was just to come out with the Dub Club. As soon as I decide what a play is, the very, very first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club. So you're able to get plays in before the odds change. And then if you're interested in my logic and analysis of the plays, then you can go to YouTube and on Twitter where I do post that stuff. But in terms of the plays itself, again, Dub Club, $5 a month. If you'd rather just wait, get everything for free on YouTube and Twitter, totally cool with me. I just wanted to give people the option. That's enough of that. Let's get into tomorrow's bangers. See if we can splash around and get wet. Starting in the Cavaliers versus Celtics game, and I'm taking Derek White over 2.5 made three-pointers, -125 odds at DraftKings. And I will say all three plays that I have today are going to be on DraftKings. So go ahead, log into your DraftKings account, get ready to cash some bangers. So for Derek White, we saw him go on one of the most ridiculous three-game heaters that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was the last two games of the Heat series in the first round, and then it was game one of this series against the Cavaliers, Since then, he has slowed down a little bit, but that was only natural after that stretch he was on. In that three-game stretch, he made 8, 5, and 7 three-pointers in those 3 games. That is ridiculous. Since then, he's only made a combined 5 three-pointers, making 1, 3, and 1 in that 3-game stretch. So after an absurd, ridiculous 3-game stretch, and then after a quiet 3-game stretch, now is the time to buy back in on Derek White and his 3-point prop, right? Like I said, it was only natural for that to slow down after that stretch he was on. So now it's only natural for it to pick back up, especially when you consider that the attempts have mostly been fine, right? He's still been attempting a decent amount of 3-pointers, and that's the most important thing. It isn't as though he just completely stopped shooting. Now, last game in game 4, he only attempted 4 3-pointers. That is an outlier. That ties him with the lowest amount of 3-point attempts that he's had in the playoffs so far. He's averaging almost 8.5 per game in these playoffs. So that 4 that he took in game 4, I know it's a little confusing. He took 4 attempts in game 4. That's an outlier, right? We saw him take 4 3-pointers in game 2 against the Heat. Next game, he went out and shot 7. So I'm not really scared off of those 4 attempts because, again, that's generally an outlier. In the first 3 games of this series, he attempted 12, 8, and 8. If we're getting another 8, 7 3-point attempts, I feel very confident that he will make 3 of those as he bounces back from this tough 3-game stretch that he's on. Hopefully he does, cashing this out for us as our first play. Next up, same game, Cavs Celtics. You already know where I'm going. Jaylen Brown over 5.5 first quarter points, -105 odds at DraftKings. With our first play of Derek White, we're fading recent results. We're also doing that with our third play as well. Absolutely not the case here with Jaylen Brown, who I'm just convinced the books have no idea what to do with first quarter point props, especially with Jaylen Brown. I have been on this every single game that Kristaps Porzingis has missed in the playoffs. That is a 5-game sample size. Jaylen Brown has cashed this in 4 of 5 games. Normally, I try to fade those results, but with first quarter point props, all the books do is divide their full game point total and give that for the first quarter. Just divide it by 4. And that's just not how it works with certain players like Jaylen Brown. So as long as we continue to get good odds, which minus 105 is great odds for his first quarter point prop to be at 5.5, I will gladly continue to take advantage. So as I mentioned, he's cashed this in 4 of 5 games that Kristaps Porzingis has missed. But if you just include this entire playoff run for the Celtics, they've played 9 games so far. He's cashed it in 6 of those 9 games. That's a very nice number. But what's very important here is all 3 games that he went under, he scored exactly 5 points. So we have yet to see a floor for Jaylen Brown below 5 points. And we've seen him ceiling all the way up to 15 points in the first quarter before. And as I mentioned, he has gone over this in 4 of his last 5 games. Well, guess what? Jayson Tatum went over his first quarter point prop of 7.5, legitimately in all 5 of those games as well. Literally in 5 straight games, Jayson Tatum has scored 8 or more points in the first quarter, and Jaylen Brown has still gone over 5.5 first quarter points in 4 of those 5 games. Generally, Jayson Tatum is a slow starter, and Jaylen Brown is the one that scores more in the first quarter. So even if, when you consider the fact that Jaylen Brown has been able to go over his first quarter point prop, even with Jayson Tatum also blowing up in the first quarter, that bodes well for the future when you presume that Jayson Tatum will eventually go back to his norm, which is a slower first quarter. That just leaves more opportunity for Jaylen Brown to hit the floor of 6 that we need to cash this. And also, if you wanted to ladder him up to 7, 10 first quarter points for juicy odds, you could do so as well, because I do think the ceiling is there as well. So funny enough, Jayson Tatum has also cashed his first quarter point prop, which again is at 7.5 in 6 of 9 games in this playoff run. But if you look at last year's playoff run, the Celtics played 20 playoff games. Tatum only did it in 8 of 20, and that 40% hit rate, that's more normal for Jayson Tatum. Whereas also in last year's playoffs, the same 20-game sample size, Jaylen Brown did it in 12 of 20 games. So a 60% hit rate, which is honestly a little bit low for Jaylen Brown, but does just kind of show you. Generally, you can count on Brown more in the first quarter than you can with Tatum. And since Tatum has blown up the past couple of first quarters, that just makes me feel even better about Jaylen Brown. And even if Jayson Tatum blows up once again in this first quarter, we've seen Brown be able to get to the 6 first quarter points that we need to cash this. So I absolutely love this play. Very happy to go back to it, even though it's been like 5 straight games. I'm totally cool with that as our second play. Last up, third and final pick, we're heading to the Mavericks versus Thunder game, which admittedly has been a rougher series for me. I'm taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 6.5 assists plus 100 odds at DraftKings. So this is more in line with the Derek White play, where we very much are fading recent results with SGA, specifically with his assist prop. He cashed this in the first 2 games of the series. He missed it in the last 2 games of the series. But more importantly here are the potential assists. Game 3, he would have hooked this prop with 6 assists, so he just went under. But he had 14 potential assists. Then in game 4, he only had 5 assists, but he had 15 potential assists. Those 2 potential assist numbers, that is the most important thing here, because you can generally count on potential assists game over game. So the fact that SGA has had 2 unlucky assist games in a row, but with still having pretty good potential assist numbers, considering we only need him to get to 7 actual assists, perfect time to buy back in on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his assist prop. And what makes me feel good about this play is even as SGA has blown up from a points perspective, basically this entire series, especially the last 2, 31 and 34 points in the last 2 games, he's still shown the ability to score a bunch of points while still racking up a bunch of potential assists as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think his scoring is going to go down, but he could continue to score 30 plus points, still get us to the 14, 15 potential assist number. And that would be great for him to do that and cash this over for us. We also get the added benefit of the Thunder going back home. So presumably the shots that they were missing when SGA went under in games 3 and 4. They'll make going back home. Role players generally tend to play better at home. The home team generally tends to shoot better at home. That's not 100% hit rate, but just generally. And that's exactly what we saw happen in game 1 when SGA cashed the over. A little bit of an outlier positive assist between assist to potential assist ratio. But now we're seeing the opposite of that in games 3 and 4, where it's an outlier in terms of how bad his assist to potential assist ratio has been. He's averaging 14 potential assists in this series. I feel very confident that he's going to get another 14 potential assists and cash the 7 actual assists we need to cash this over. And that's all we got. 3 bangers for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Dub Club if you are interested in that. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.